Hey friends, welcome back. My name is Christine and I've been working on this project for a couple days now. So I picked the basil off of my plant and it's been drying for a couple of days now. So I have been drying some manually just on the kitchen table with the ceiling fan going, and then also drying some in my dehydrator. So they're all done and I'm going to be making some basil infused olive oil with them and having some extra on the side. So I thought I'd bring you with, so come on with. Okay, so look at this awesome little area. My husband just built this for me to go over the top of our utility sink. And I couldn't be more in love with it, so thanks, honey. So I've got the basil all rinsed off and I'm gonna put them on the trays and then get them in my Cosori and get them dried. I don't know about you guys, but I am loving the smell of basil and I want to make as many things as possible with basil. It just has that, I don't know, it's kind of like a comforting smell. And my smell has been kind of goofy since I had the thing, if you know what I mean. And I just don't want to say that word. So I don't know, like it's just such a soothing smell. And I'm finding myself falling in love more and more with it. So I can't wait to do some things with my dried basil. All right, so my machine's right here. I'll show you me putting them in, putting the last one in. And so I'm not sure how many this will make, but all I know is what I'm trying to do is I'm just trying to do them single so that they dry quicker. And you do always want to have your herbs on a lower setting to make sure that you're not actually like cooking them and frying them. So I'm going to be putting these on probably at about 100 degrees or so. Kind of like what I did with the mint. So if you haven't seen that video, I have some mint actually I need to harvest and do some drying as well. So it's just, I'm doing kind of those lazy day projects. It's so hot out. Heat index is, 100 and something. So silly us, we went for a walk to go get this piece of wood to fit over the top of the sink. And at least there's a breeze, so we were comfortable. And we ended up going back because I noticed that there were some wild raspberry bushes growing on our pathway. So we went and snipped a few. So I'll be doing a future video on that, on how long it takes to get roots on a portion that we snipped off. All right, there's tray number 2. And I'm not really loading these up a lot, just because you want kind of the airflow through it. So, and yeah, what are you guys drying these days? I also have a large drying area, I don't know, like a netted, it's 4 tiers. I'll have to show you guys, so that if you don't have electricity or don't want to use electricity, that you can just air dry them. So right now I've got chives and a little bit of basil in there. Or wait, is it basil or mint? I think it's basil from my last harvest on that. But I just can't believe how big this basil plant has gotten. So I kind of made a mistake in the beginning when I planted it, because I grew it from seed, but I planted it next to the mint and the dill. So I guess I was doing a little reading. I was wondering why it wasn't really doing very good. And it said not to plant them next to that. So me and my little urban garden here, I'm still learning. And if you have any hints or tricks, let me know in the comments below. But I ended up moving it over to a different self-watering little area that I have on my deck, and it just, holy moly, it took off. So I'm so thankful that I did a little bit of reading, and it is just obviously doing phenomenal. I can't believe the size of some of these leaves, and this is my third harvest off of one plant, and I actually plucked a few sprigs off that were trying to go to seed, because I don't want it to go to seed quite yet. I'm just trying to gather as much as I can off of that. And speaking of seeds, if you didn't see my last, I think it's my last video, that I officially did some seed saving off of my dill plant. And I have a couple more that I think are kind of ready too. So I'm gonna go grab those, the flowers on the top that came to seed. The umbels is what they call them. They look like little umbrellas. And like I said, the bees are just loving it. And I harvested my first summer squash. And yeah, life is good in my little urban garden. Learning a few things along the way. My peas, my beans kind of did not do well. Just I had a rabbit and a chipmunk coming up on the deck and chewing them and having a good time. So I guess, you know, circle of life. They needed to eat too. So I guess I'm happy I provided them with some nourishment. Oh, I can fit these last few on here. All right, so that giant harvest was 1, 2, 3, so I got 4 trays. So let me flip this around and I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, so I'm just putting in my last tray in my Cosori, and I'm just putting this in the middle. So I officially have 1, 2, 3, 4 trays. I'm gonna close it up. Temperature actually 95. I'm gonna bump that to 100. And then time, I'm just gonna go out just to be safe, like 16 hours. I don't think it'll take that long, but you know, with dehydrating, you just dehydrate as long as it takes. So I am just gonna hit that start, and we'll see you. I'll probably check it tonight before bed. Which will be, what time is it right now? So it'll probably be in about 7 hours. I'm gonna check it and see what they're looking like. Okay, I just wanted to show you real quick. So this is what I've got going on here. This is a four level drying rack. And so yeah, I've got some basil leaves in there right now. And they're still a little mealy, but I probably could just dry them in general. And then you like zip this closed, and then down below here I have some chives. I can't quite do it one-handed, but you can kind of see in there I've got some chives. So yeah, it was some kind of deal on Amazon, and don't mind my basement, but it's real life. So I am going to do some mint in there shortly. So I just thought I'd show you that. Okay friends, it is at 100 degrees. 10 hours, 23 minutes left. Let's just check it out. Yeah, they're kind of just like feel normal. So I think I'm gonna bump it up to, not temperature wise, but I'm gonna bump up the time. So time, let's just go up to, let's go to after church tomorrow. So church is at 9, be done by 10-ish. And it is 10 o'clock right now. So I'm gonna do that and we'll check it in the morning. Okay, we're gonna check the basil, and I'm 99% sure it's done. Yeah, it's ready to go. So I'm gonna pull these trays out and bring them upstairs, bring my jars upstairs, and then I want to get some basil infused olive oil going. So I'll show you how to do that. Okay friends, so I grabbed out my mortar and pestle just because I know that by grinding them up a little bit and putting them into the jar, it kind of releases the flavor and such. So it releases, yeah, the oils as well. So I'm going to take a few of the ones that were just manually drying on my table and put them in. You can hear how kind of crunchy they are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's do a 10, 9, 10. And I'm just kind of crunching them up. I didn't want them to blend too much, like what I did with the mint for mint tea. And I can probably tear them up a little bit too. Ooh, it smells good. And then what I'm gonna do is, I'm actually just gonna put them right in the jar. So this jar is washed and clean. Stem and all. And you saw that I did wash these before I dried them. And these are organic as well. And you can do so many things with basil. You know, you always hear about, you know, putting it on pizza and pasta sauce, what have you, chicken dishes, but you can actually make basil soap. That's kind of fun. That's kind of on my to-do list. All right, so I got pretty much everything in there. All right, last few little crumbs. And I'm just taking my funnel and I'm going to put in olive oil. Ooh, that looks amazing. And I'm just gonna fill her up. It's about as much as I want. I'm gonna let that drip for a minute while I get the cap back on. And yeah, so you can do soap, you can put, you can actually make butter as well, and cheese, and you can make basil salt if you grind it up really fine. And a lot of people I've saw on Pinterest that they actually freeze basil in ice cubes and then they add it to, you know, what they're making. I thought that was a great idea. All right, I'm gonna close this up and you can see, just give it a shake upside down. And then I'm going to put this in a dark, cool place. I probably will put it in the fridge. Just, you know, it's a smaller jar, so I should have room. And then I'll just probably take my label maker and put a little label on it. So how fun is that? And then the rest, I'm actually just gonna put in mason jar for right now until I decide what I wanna do with it. And then I'm gonna dry can it. Some people do vacuum seal their basil and then they have it for a long time. I might do that as well. I have some nice smaller bags. So maybe that would be something. And then, yeah, so you saw my little drying rack too. I did dry them originally on the kitchen counter until I had gotten that unit. And then I put them downstairs. Kind of out of sight, out of mind almost, but I had these going as well. So I grabbed them at the same time. And then what are you guys doing? I'm so happy with how my basil plant is still doing. So the trick of the trade is to pick the flowers off. If you see your basil plant starting to flower, just pluck that flower right off and then it'll still keep producing. So I saw that as a trick from someone. So I did that and my plant is still going like crazy. I wasn't sure how many jars I'd have here, so I grabbed a couple. And freezing them in baggies I think is always a great idea. Keeps the integrity of the leaf. And let's see. The other thing that this is well known for as an addition to is Italian seasoning. So you can make Italian seasoning with basil, and oh, it smells so good. All right, well, that's my first batch of basil off of my plant. And I'm going to get this dry canned up and sealed until I decide what I'm going to do with it. Okay friends, another productive project completed. So I have my basil infused olive oil infusing right now, which I'm going to keep in a cool, dark place, possibly in my fridge. And then the rest of the basil leaves did fit in 1 quart-sized mason jar. So we ended up dehydrating them roughly 100 degrees, and time-wise, you're normally not supposed to set a timer just because they're dry when they're dry, but this took roughly about 20 hours. And then the other ones I dried for a few days before that, and then they crunched up just as well. So thanks for stopping by, and let me know in the comments below if you're doing any dehydrating and what your projects are with any of your herbs, or if you have any other suggestions, that big long list of all the different fun things you can do with basil. So thanks for stopping by my little channel, and if you like videos like this, hit that like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time on Christine's Routines. Take care, and God bless. Okay friends, so something to do on a rainy day. That doesn't really make sense, it's not raining. What? Yesterday was raining. Jinkies! And today they're ready, and I'm gonna be making, oh gosh, what am I gonna be making?